Good morning, everyone, one more time, and very warm welcome to the online discussion, Unleashing Youth Creativity and New Way of Thinking. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all, and my name is Ognjen Markovic, and I will be moderating this first part of the event, and really looking forward to the fruitful discussion that we will have. Before I go any further, I want to thank you all for your participation, and while we are waiting some additional participants to join due to technical issues that may occur sometimes with updates of Zoom, but still not to be late with the agenda, I have a great pleasure to invite Ms. Maya Handžiska-Trendafilova, RCC's Head of Program Department, to address us all. Maya, the floor is yours, and thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ogi. So really, it gives me great pleasure to wish you all a warm welcome at today's event on unleashing the youth potential and new way of thinking on behalf of the Regional Cooperation Council and also on behalf of our youth project. And actually, we have had fully packed past days, and all this in the sign of youth. Be this the youth donor coordination mechanism we established just 2 days ago, the launch of the Western Balkans networks of girls and women in STEM, the anniversary celebrations that we are doing of the Girls in ICT initiative, or even the topical technical assistance and capacity building that we continue to provide towards the youth councils, as well as our institutional counterparts in the governments, in order to further the youth policies in the region. And as you know, and as announced prior to this event, 21st of April is celebrated as the World Creativity and Innovation Day, with the aim to raise the awareness of the role of creativity and innovation in all aspects of human development. And actually, innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship do instill new momentum for economic growth and job creation, while of course expanding the opportunities for youth, for women, and marginalized groups. So we in RCC decided to symbolically mark this date by bringing together youth from the Western Balkan region in order to shed light on some of the opportunities that already exist here in the region of Western Balkans, and which we believe can provide further boost to creativity and innovation. And it is for this reason that I have the pleasure to also welcome our panelists here with us today, and to thank them for accepting the invitation to be with us, but also, most importantly, to present what they're doing, hoping that their stories and information that they will share with us will motivate some of you, some of us here, to get engaged and participate in some of the initiatives and competitions that will kickstart soon. And really, as this mixture of inspiration, information, and networking breeds empowerment, we are honored to have them all here on board. I mean, we know that all too often it looks as there is woeful lack of opportunities in our region, but not all is of course that gloomy. Be this from the type of initiatives and competitions of Balkaton for Turismo that bring together teams with innovative and smart ideas, to our thriving science and technology parks and the funds for innovation and technologies that are doing wonderful job. The region is really changing little by little, and it is only together with you and of course through your engagement that these changes can pick up the tempo and the pace that we all need and continue to change the region. So in addition to this regional perspective that we want to share with you today, we also wanted to raise awareness on the European developments, so that you know what is coming up, so heads up, and what will influence our development, given our region's really unwavering EU perspective and commitment. So it is for this particular reason that today you will also get the chance to get additional information and sort of a sneak peek into the forthcoming Western Balkans agenda on innovation, research, education, culture, youth, and sport, which is developed by the European Commission in cooperation with the economies of our region, as this will be very important in terms of shaping the EU-Western Balkans cooperation in these areas in the years to come. So, Ogi, without further ado, as I don't know, length is proven enemy of Zoom events, let me wish all of us interesting and successful event. Let me invite all of you to follow the work of our panelists here, their organization, and of course of the Regional Cooperation Council, hoping that this might spark the light of the creativity and innovation. So thank you very much, and back to you for the substantial part of our discussions today.
Thank you very much, Maya. Thank you for all your support and these encouraging words on the very beginning of the event, and I hope that we will continue in that spirit. Now we will start with the first panel, Youth Creativity and Digital Solutions, through which we will try somehow to present to all of you some of the already existing regional competitions that are striving for digital solutions, and mostly for, as the practice showed, coming from young people from the region. And therefore, it is my great pleasure to have 6 panelists today with me, even though it will be a quite difficult task to accommodate all the interventions, but we will give our best to provide all information needed, and maybe, of course, to provide some inputs or tips for the possible applicants and all of those who are interested in these topics. Therefore, without any further ado, I will give the floor to Ms. Tanja Maraš, expert on digital connectivity of RCC, to tell us something more about Balkathon, which is a regional competition for digital solutions, and what are the aims of Balkathon. And maybe, Tanja, even how did you come up with idea of having competitions such as this one, and what is the role of young people in it, and what will be in the newly coming edition? Tanja, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ognjen. It's a real pleasure to be here today with all of you, and to see so many familiar faces, and again to discuss and talk with today's panelists, Albana, Nenad, both Nikolaos, Leila, and Alba, on topics that, as you mentioned, that we have digital creativity regarding great ideas that came out from Balkathon for tourism, and also about process developing these ideas into the concrete digital solutions. So I believe that all you know that the Regional Cooperation Council organized this first regional competition event for innovative digital solutions in July last year. Everything actually started as an idea to help the region to recover from effects of the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak that actually was hit business and citizens, as well as to boost resilience to such a global challenges. Sorry. The competition actually was open to everyone, startups, digital national hubs, scientific parks, universities, SMEs, and of course young people, young individuals from all Western Balkan states, to all who actually were interested to contribute and make an impact. So our initial idea was to help the region recover from the horrid effects of the COVID pandemic, primarily in sectors that have proven to be insufficiently resilient or prepared for the lockdown we have faced, thinking on tourism, digital learning, and again, most maybe tricky area, online payment, with the aim to develop effective digital solutions that will help our region to adapt and quickly recover from the effects caused by COVID as situation required in that time. So, however, Balkathon also has shown its potential to grow and develop further than that, not only in response to unprecedented situation, but also to change our approach to things and ensure dynamic growth, starting from the personal level. I have to highlight that the competition actually brought together young people, mostly young people from the Western Balkans, and enabled them to contribute and give support to our region. Exactly 88 applicants from all over Western Balkans testified to this, and their interest to be a part of Balkathon and provide their support and contribution to the whole process. So just shortly to say that after the competition, the 3 winning solutions brought forward new ideas on how to approach to already mentioned topics, tourism, learning, and online financial transactions in effective and still safe way. The three winners were obliged to continue working 6 months after the competition on their ideas and develop their solutions in practical use so it can be implemented through the whole region. I'm glad that one of the winners also is with us today to tell her experience from the first hand, and I would like to also mention that we had a great team of mentors who supported our participants, and of course, we are having our Balkathon mentor today with us, and also he will provide us with his view and experience from the background during this session. And in line with today's slogan, if I can say, Balkathon is a kind of event that unleashes the potential of young people and the way of thinking, providing an opportunity to present their ideas, use the momentum of creating and developing those ideas into concrete digital solution. So meeting other young people is one way of going in this direction, to share and to see maybe similar ideas, similar views, and what is the most important to all of them is actually to enjoy through this process and have great fun during the way. So as you mentioned, also I have to announce, I will use the opportunity to announce second edition of Balkathon. It's coming pretty soon. More precisely, it will start at the beginning of May. Preparations are underway, and compared to the last year competition, this year will be a slightly different concept. So as I said, we had 3 topics last year, and we will continue with 3 topics this year. I believe it will be very much interested for young people, especially for eccentric young people who are eager for new challenges. So I will stop here, not to take more time and not to reveal too many details about a new Balkathon 2021, because the new cycle Balkathon will be presented soon. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tanya, very much. And maybe this is a message to be sent to all participants to stay tuned and to follow RCC's social media and website for more information that will be available in the upcoming period. And as you said, somehow Balkathon was born with the mission to help the region to recover from the COVID-19. And if I remember well, 88 applications were received. And today we are very happy to actually see that one of those applications is now actually a project itself. And therefore, it is my great pleasure to announce winner of the Balkathon 2021, one of the winners, Miss Albana Mucaj. And I hope that she will provide us with more inputs about what was the key idea of the application of the project. And therefore, Albana, I kindly inviting you to take the floor, and it would be really interesting to hear from your side how it all started and what is the current status of your idea. Do we have any developments or results when it comes to the solution? And really looking forward to hear how did you see that your idea can contribute to the region's recovery of the COVID-19. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Greetings to all of you present today, and thank you for taking the time to be here. I'd like to shortly cut into the process CALS as an enterprise has gone through during the prior, during, and after period in relation to the Balkathon. It all started with a single idea on improving the lives of students, but not only. The pandemic has already closed in on most of us, but even at the darkest of times, great ideas suffice to give you the spark. And Balkathon was just that for our idea. We first heard about it from one of the Balkathon mentors, whom, although was our mentor during the mentoring process, established a strong bond with CALS. She fell in love with our idea And during the Balkathon, my staff and I were already occupied with other engagements, as well as we were having our own difficulties with keeping up with the process. I would say, now I can say it, we had some moments we seriously thought about pulling out of the competition. And I would say so at the times it seems we would never pull it off on time, and we wouldn't be able to come up with the video on time, and so on and so forth. So it was precisely our mentor that wouldn't let us give up, encouraging us all the times. Our low self-esteem came from the very fact that we didn't have a company, a strong IT company specialized, supporting us in that moment. So the idea was amazing, but so on the way we realized that we could find great developers. So we had our hope, but by the time we reached the semifinals, and the greatest surprise of them all was us being selected at the end. We hadn't really noticed until then, but we were the only woman in the competition, so in the final part. And I didn't know if this had anything to do with the jury's decision, but all I can say is that more girls and more women should compete, restoring gender equality, even in Zoom meetings at all. So right afterwards, the challenge of developing it took place. So we engaged the proper developers, including a design architect. We initially dealt with the fundamentals of establishing the platform, class arrangements, and only later with the front page and explanatory materials. So, of course, it had its own ups and downs during all this period, but here we are today. So, in less than a year, facing the platform that came out of that idea. And thanks to RCC and Tanya especially, we're here today. We have had a quite the journey so far yet, but this is only the beginning. Great things come with great initiatives, and here we are today witnessing preciously this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Albana, for your presentation. And while you were speaking, I saw a smile on the Tanya's and Nenad's faces, probably being proud of the achievements. And on the other side, I want to thank you for great messages that you sent, and especially in regard to gender equality and inclusion, and having women in as even winners of these kind of competitions. And that is really something that is very encouraging to hear. And following your presentation about the idea, now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Nenad Pantelic, who was mentor of the Balkathon 2020. Nenad, thank you very much for being with us today and for your availability. And I believe it would be really interesting to hear from your side how the mentoring process went. What were maybe the key challenges when working with so many ideas? I assume most of them being very, very good ones. And what do you see as the key potential of these ideas in the future, or when we speak about COVID-19 recovery, but maybe even in general? So I give the floor to you, and thank you very much once again.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. That's usual start of every Zoom call, right? Yeah, so thank you, Ogni, for your introduction. Yeah, I would like to explain and to describe the role of a mentor on this and on previous and on the following hackathon. Basically, mentors are experts in their own field with more or less experience in business development, marketing, programming, and other fields that, and those experts are trying to guide teams to achieve, to solve the problem that it's certain, that is topic of the hackathon. So our goal is basically to be a link between the teams and the problems they're trying to solve. And I see our mentor's role not as a person who is telling teams what to do, but actually trying to guide them to find solutions. So we are more asking questions. What's your target audience? What problems are you trying to solve? What is the market size? Different questions, broader questions, and maybe more specific questions. And when teams answer those questions, then they can realize, okay, now I see what's your point. Now we can move into the proper direction. Mentors are, as I said, link between the organizers and the teams. And our goal is to always be available for the teams whenever they have some kind of question, maybe questions about the rules, maybe question about the submission process, maybe questions about how to formulate their own idea. And in my experience, mentors are the ones that are proactive and trying to initiate conversation with the team, because in my experience, teams are, I don't want to say lost, but they need guidance in order to achieve successful submission and to have a proper presentation in front of judges. So, and they're kind of shy to ask questions. They don't want to initiate conversation. So it's on mentors. Mentor's job is to constantly push them to have some regular checkpoint meetings, to ask them questions, how things are going, what direction are they taking, and so on and so on. So as I said, our goal is to give them constructive feedback, and we are giving them guidance so they can polish their rough idea. So they usually have some rough idea, and then we guide them how they can eliminate irrelevant stuff and only focus on the important stuff. And of course, we should explain to them what judges would like to see, and maybe what other investors or people from the industry, from certain industries, would like to see regarding their solutions. So even if they are not winners or top 3 of the hackathon, they might create interest from the market, and other companies might invest in their idea and in their solution. Yeah, so I have a couple of notes here, just going through them. Yeah, we help them identify business values. So maybe and usually teams are consistent. Teams have one programmer, one designer, maybe one marketing guy, and they're only taking operational stuff. How can they solve certain problems, but they are not seeing a business value, some broader picture. And we also help them in that sense. And of course, during the last couple of hours of hackathon, everyone is asking, should we give them a GitHub link? Should we give them PowerPoint presentation? Should we, how to approach the submission process? And although that right now that sounds silly, but trust me, they will have a lot of questions on that side. So our goal, our mission is to guide them in order to prepare a solid presentation and to have a good pitch in front of judges to convince them that their solution has potential in the market, in the areas that they were trying to solve the problem. So I'm inviting teams to have a nice cooperation with mentors. They will definitely help them to cross the finish line, and hopefully to not only to win at the hackathon, Balkathon, but also to have something that they can offer to the market and maybe expand their idea further.
Thank you.
Yeah, so mentors usually have a couple of teams, not only one, but maybe 2 or 3, depending on the, the mentors will be quite busy, but it's our privilege to help teams and to try to help them achieve their goal.
Thank you very much, Nenad. Thank you for your presentation and explaining to us how the mentoring process goes, especially in light of these regional digital competitions that we are having in RCC, and that today, beside representatives, beside participants coming from the EU level, we also have a lot of youth from the Western Balkan 6 who showed interest in maybe even applying for some of these competitions, and therefore we will continue in light of another regional competition that RCC commissioned called Futurismo, and that is why we are also having today with us one of the winners, mentor and representative of the project, who will actually provide us also with more information about the flow of the competition and what were the key challenges and successes as well. And in order to begin, it is my great pleasure to invite Mr. Nikolaos Parastaditis, Tourism Development and Promotion Project Team Leader, RCC, to set the scene and tell us something more about how the idea of Futurismo actually came out and what are the key information to be shared with participants today. So Nikos, thank you very much for your time, and I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you, Ogif. Hello to everyone. I've been listening carefully because I don't want to repeat things. Futurismo walks in the steps of Balkathon. We saw what was done during Balkathon, and we build upon that. The scope and the objective of Futurismo was to focus on tourism, because tourism was the hardest hit, or let's say one of the hardest hit industries, not only in the region, but worldwide. So we thought that we could do a new awards project and focus on tourism. And when we came out with the communication, we had no idea what to expect. In the beginning, I have to say that I wasn't sure that we would have a lot, but we had a lot of people and a great interest. We had more than 80 ideas that came in, and out of those we chose 17 to present their ideas. I have to say here, before I say a bit more into detail, that we had a lot of good ideas, but we saw also many ideas that you know, they just couldn't reach the levels that we wanted. And this is why we also invested in mentoring. And not only did we invest in mentoring, but as it turned out to be, mentoring and capacity building is the main focus of what we are doing. Because of course we are giving out the awards, and we want these projects and these ideas to become real and start being active in the real market. But above all that, for me, it's the experience that mainly young professionals will gain through the mentoring procedure, and in general through the procedure of reading the call for proposals, writing the proposals. We had an open day, an open info day, where we had a lot of people. If I remember well, it was more than 50 people attending, with a lot of questions. And all these things, as I see it, are a good step going, let's say, more professional, and of seeing how especially European funding works. Now, for the projects themselves, we had 7 winners. We started out for 6, but at the end we had 7 because the top winners were very close in the votes they got from our 7 judges. And today we have here one of the projects, and we have also one of the mentors, Nicolaos Antoniou, and he will speak after me and he will tell you more about it. Futurismo will go on in 2022 as well, and it will be again obviously focused on tourism, but this time I hope we won't have to be so focused on COVID-19 and this crisis situation, because in the first Futurismo in February, we really pushed everyone to focus on COVID-19 solutions and crisis. We had a lot of other really interesting ideas as well, but we really focused on that, and the most of the winners somehow were connected to solving or bringing some solutions to the crisis. So for 2022, I hope we will be able to think beyond that, and ask for, this time we will be more accurately asking for specific regions, let's say areas in what we would like to see. Because, and here I will stop, one of the things that we saw is that most of the projects were centered mostly in selling products, touristic products. But in the upcoming Futurismo, we would like to go beyond that, and would like to see more innovative ideas of not only how to sell products, but also how to give more interesting and more fun and creative applications for the people who will hopefully start coming back to the region. So that's all for me and Futurismo for now.
Thank you, Nikos, very much for this, and I mean it's really great to see the path from having an idea until realizing that idea, even when it comes to such a big activity such as Futurismo. As you said, more than 80 applications, and out of which 17 were presented. And today we have the pleasure of having one of 7 teams that won Futurismo 2020. First of all, Miss Alba Sula, junior developer from the BIB team, as well as Miss Leila Berchkali, a project manager, who will be more present in the Q&A session. Hopefully that young participants will have some of the questions for both representatives of Balkaton and Futurismo, and that is why, even though in agenda we are having first Mr. Nicolaos Antoniou, now following the discussion, I think that it would be beneficial to listen first to Alba and her idea, and then to give the floor to Mr. Antoniou, so that we can also have the overall picture on the Futurismo as well. So Alba, thank you very much for being with us, and really looking forward to hear what on which ways you wanted to help the region when it comes to recovery of the tourism that was hardly hit with the COVID-19 as well. So I give the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you already know, my name is Alba, and I am a .NET and Flutter developer from Albania. I'm here to talk on behalf of BIB team and to tell you a little bit about us. First of all, the idea came totally naturally because having people work both from section of tourism and as well from the section of IT, and here we have this project here. We had actually our project manager had already have her research, and she found out that there are more than 800 million Chinese people were having a phone, first of all, and we thought about creating a mobile phone that will be both hybrid, works both on iOS and Android device. Now, our project, I will talk a little bit about our project and then about the beneficiaries of it who will benefit. Now, we have developed this application, not already, we are in the second phase. We have this application, and it's the first such promoting the Western Balkans primarily toward Chinese market. So that's what we have our interest to. We want to help Chinese market to reach our region. The application is both in English and Chinese, and it serves as a tool of promotion, sales, networking, and communication of destinations within Western Balkans, featuring attractions, point of interest, regional tours, itineraries, accommodation, restaurants, shopping, and other tourist amenities. Now, as I already said, Chinese market is what firstly will benefit from the application. Now we have Leila. She's sharing her screen about being Balkan. Chinese travelers will have their audio guide in the application, and we also will have connections with Weibo, WeChat, and other promotional channels intended for Chinese market. Other beneficiaries from this application will have the people who will in a way sell or promote their services within our application. This will have a little fee just to provide sustainability for the platform in the future. We want to help as well private bodies, public bodies, local communities who have their services. We want Western Balkan to be as visible as possible to their market. This does not mean that we want to exclude other markets, because the application, be it in English, that makes possible to have other markets as well. Now, furthermore, the project is designed to help contribute towards helping with the reducing of the consequences of COVID-19 pandemic or outbreak, because as already said, we will have different economies in application, and these economies will be in Bosnia, being the pilot destination, will be Albania, Kosovo, and North Montenegro. So we have these four economies. A little bit of piece of a motivation for you guys is that there are many opportunities out there, so please just go get them. And if you don't see any opportunity at all, then create it, because you can do it. There is this idea of ours that whenever we have a event which gives you mentorship or mentorship as the main prize, you are like skeptical, but we already said that we want futurismo, and we had mentorship as well, and it was very useful to us. They gave us a new ways of expanding our horizons about promoting and enhancing the application. So thank you very much, RCC, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Nikos, for sharing your experience with us. And to all of you out there, just if you find an opportunity, or you please go for it. And if you don't find an opportunity, then create it. Thank you very much. This is all from BIB team.
Dear Alba, thank you very much. This was really inspiring, and I really enjoyed your presentation, and thank you very much for your energy as well. I can see that is the energy around the people engaged in Futurismo 2020. So I hope that you will continue in that manner, and I really wish you a lot of success with your project, and having in mind its relevance and its importance. I hope that pretty soon you will also be able to cover all Western Balkan 6, and that you will have a very successful work on it. And thank you for this great message for all the youth from the region to take all the opportunities that are out there, or even to create the ones. So in order to continue in this spirit, I'm very happy to give the floor to Mr. Nicolaus Antoniou, who is a mentor of who was a mentor of Futurismo 2020, and working with the teams to share with us his views on the mentoring process, but maybe not only about that, but rather on the role of young people in creating solutions in our societies, and to share his experience with us, which would be very beneficial. So Mr. Antoniou, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thanks for the invitation. It was indeed a very interesting experience for us, and I will try to move it to the level of your subject, which is the unleashing youth potential. I understand that the RCC is organizing these competitions in order to unleash potential, but what we try to do is to nurture potential. We try to work together with the participants to make something that is of added value at the end of the story. Despite being focused on tourism, also addressing Balkathon and addressing indeed the youth creativity and innovation, I just want to say a few things coming from my experience with this and other similar opportunities that we've been happy to be engaged with. It's not necessary to have a good or a great idea, and most of the ideas were great. It's not enough. To have a good idea is not enough. You have to think of the context, you have to think of the competition, and you have to think of commercialization. You have to think from far away. You have to become your user, you have to become your customer, you have to become your sponsor, and you have to detach yourself from the idea and really see the future and see what the end result should be. You have to think again, it's very, very important, about the risks and how to mitigate them, and about quality. You have to think also of partnerships, and many things that the different projects try to do have been either addressed or mentioned or developed by somebody else. So try to get partnerships, try to engage with stakeholders, and try to network. Leila and Alba presented, I think, one of to me at least, one of the best ideas of the Futurismo competition. I hope nobody's going to steal your idea now, Leila and Alba, and present it in the next Balkathon. I will take legal action if that happens. And I just wanted to say, also something Nena has talked about mentorship. So it's not just, and I totally agree with him. I just wanted to add that we don't ask questions, we try to challenge. Questions can be very difficult, and sometimes they don't have an answer. And the answer will come maybe some other time in the future, when the project is being developed, or when the project is being finalized. And what is very, very important in this aspect that Maya also mentioned in the introduction is capacity building and training. Young entrepreneurs, young people, citizens of the Western Balkans, they need some guidance, but not about their ideas, about the context, about the environment, about the legal aspects, about the financial aspects, about competition and business aspects. And I think that the role of RCC is very important in that. And if, in the report we did for Futurism, we have certain recommendations about it. But my advice and my little tip to you is try to consolidate all this help that you provide to young people or to digital entrepreneurs, so that what comes out of it is something that really remains and something that makes difference. As Nicolaus, the other Nicolaus, said, that it's the experience that matters, and that's something that it's very, very difficult to replace with anything else. We didn't only help with what we did actually as a contractor is we coached the 17 shortlisted companies, and then we mentored the 7 winners. It's a completely different approach, and it was a pleasure to to mentor all of them, especially Leila and Alba, because I was the mentor for their project. That again, as I say, I believe that it was one of the most powerful idea coming out of this. And it's very important that effort is concentrated on training that is not boring, and it's very relevant to the projects and the entrepreneurs in the future. They can learn about project management methodologies, they can learn about quality, about risk management. This will really help them a lot to position themselves better and to become more visible in the future. And again, there is also talking about the context and the contextual problems. The fact of having different countries in the Western Balkans is a fantastic opportunity, but it can also be a problem in terms of and effective, and I wish for that. I don't have to say much more. I mean, I don't want to repeat anybody. Maybe in the questions and answers, I can answer specific questions. But yes, my general principle, my general philosophical idea is that, okay, innovation and creativity is not obviously gender related, but it's also not age related. But since we're talking about the youth, they maybe take advantage of experience and advice and skills that other people and other companies and other entrepreneurs can have. So thank you again for this opportunity. I hope I said a few interesting things, and good to see you again, Leila and Alba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Antonio, for these inspiring words. And as you said, it's also important, beside creating idea, also to detach from the one and look into the future so that we can really see how to make an impact. And this is really a message, not only for the possible participants of the regional competitions, but I would say for all of us. And thank you really much for that. And also in the same time, even though I was a bit worried having 6 panelists for such a short time, I'm happy that we finished as per agenda, so that my colleague Sinisha is not mad at me, and I will use this opportunity to thank all of the panelists for your contribution and great energy today, and would give the floor to Mr. Sinisha Macic, expert on human capital development of RCC, to take the lead and moderate the following session, which will be about innovation and its importance for the region itself. Thank you very much. Sinisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ognjen. Thank you for these inspiring presentations we had. I must say in particular, thank you to Nikolaos. I really liked what you said in the end about taking advantage of experience and skills of those older ones. This is the purpose of the second panel. We want to present you 3 very experienced colleagues from the Western Balkans, and hopefully we'll get more insights that will encourage young people to think both in terms of entrepreneurship, developing the innovative ideas into something that can be commercialized in the end. And thanks to these platforms and tools we discussed earlier, the young people in the region obviously have some opportunities that they can embark on. Without any further ado, I would use this opportunity to present the panelists for the panel today. The concept is slightly different. We're going to have an open discussion as opposed to the first panel, since there's only 3 of them here. The first panelist is, and there was a change, a very sudden change as of this morning. Ms. Gordana Danilovic-Grkovic, Director of Science Technology Park from Belgrade, unfortunately was not in position to join. She had a misfortunate case in her family. Therefore, we will host her replacement, Ms. Jelena Petrovic, Head of Business Developments, also from the Science Technology Park of Belgrade. Good morning and welcome, Jelena.
Good morning.
Good to see you here today, and thank you very much for this very late change, and thank you for being with us today. Second, we will have Mr. Velibor Bošković, Executive Director of Science Technology Park of Montenegro from Podgorica. Good morning to you, Velibor.
Good morning to you, Siniša, and to everybody else.
Good to see you again, although just virtually. And last but not least, Mr. Costa Petrov, Director of the Fund for Innovation and Technology Development of North Macedonia. Costa, good morning to you too.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much to all three of you for being with us today. If you don't mind, gentlemen, I would like to start with the lady. First of all, Jelena has been in this field for quite some years now. Perhaps you could start, but just elaborating quickly, and please be mindful of time. Let's say 4 to 5 minutes per each intervention, so we can have a fruitful discussion afterwards. What would be, and how would you say that the youth from Serbia can leverage and use opportunities that Science Technology Park in Belgrade offers? Please use some examples if you can, just to illustrate the case, so the youth listening and watching us can relate better. Thank you very much. Jelena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. It's our pleasure to be here and present our activities and achievements, and of course to encourage some young people, or maybe it's better, as previous speakers said, young entrepreneurs. They're not always young, but they just start their businesses. In the last 5 or now maybe 5.5 years, Science Technology Park was working a lot on attracting and encouraging young people and creating different programs and services that can help them grow. I would maybe mention, just being time-wise, 2 of them, which are the most important one. So the first one is Park Up, which is dedicated to students. And this program was created basically based on the need that we saw in Serbia. And this is, we were talking until now about the startups which already have the idea and now come to us and want to develop their businesses. But here we are talking about one step back. So we saw that there are many young people who want to do something, but they just don't know how to find the idea, how to find a problem that it's worth of solving. So basically this 7 days boot camp is dedicated to that. So we are passing through the ideation process. We are brainstorming what kind of problems they could solve by using the technology. We divide them into teams, and then we teach them how basically to validate the problem they choose to solve, and how to basically develop the solution and validate the solution around it, how to research on their target groups, on the market, and so on. So basically we had 4 batches of this program, and there are around 60 students which participate in it. The difference between other programs is just that they need to have a motivation to about entrepreneurship, and that they are encouraged to learn about it. And yes, so they don't need to have a team, they don't need to have idea. And they come, and then we work with them for 7 days. We had more than 200 students now participating. I think the interest is quite high. We usually have almost double or 3 times more the number of students which are interested in the program, which are actually entering. And there are many, many interesting cases of the startups created after that. Some of them also failed, but in a long term, they are people who basically change themselves during these 7 days. And this is the most important thing. The energy and the skills that they get, it's something that it's long term. The second program I would like to mention is Rising Starts, which is an accelerator that we developed with the support of the Swiss government, and the new project that we are implementing in the next 4 years. So basically this is the accelerator for early stage startups, and through that program we provide business support and funding up to 15,000 Swiss francs for startups to develop their first prototypes and validate their solutions in the market. We had our first call published at the end of last year, and we received around 200 applications, which is really exciting. And when we take average number of members in the team, which is around 3 or 4, this is like around 600 people out there in Serbia, which are basically thinking about creating some new ideas and entering the entrepreneurial world, which is quite exciting to us. So program consists of 2 stages. We passed now the first stage where they got the initial mentoring. So basically in the first stage, we select up to 30 startups, 35. And then the ones that show the best like output and the commitment and everything in the first stage, they get the opportunity to continue working with us and get the financial support, mentoring, and business support in the period of 6 months. We are again publishing this call by the end of this year. So all startups interested to get some funding for their idea and business support, of course, can start preparing for that.
Thank you very much, Jelena. This was really inspiring, great if you ask me. The first thing that comes to mind after listening to both of these examples is whether we can join forces and scale it to the regional level. This is something that we can perhaps discuss after the panel. This is not the place to do it, but I really like the idea of assisting students and preparing them for the world of startups and entrepreneurship. And Rising Stars is something that is very, very similar to our regional initiative on launching early stage innovation funding support scheme. You may have heard of it. The idea is basically to launch the regional innovation fund to support small teams, small innovative teams at the very early stages of their development when they are really vulnerable. This is something that Costa is deeply involved with us, but perhaps later on we could also catch up and discuss on this. Thank you very much, Helena. Obviously, this is going to be quite interesting. Let me now move on to Velibor, if you don't mind. Velibor, you've been in this field for quite some time now. You have lots of experience. Could you please relate to what Jelena said, obviously from the perspective of Montenegro, and perhaps just offer some examples on what the Science and Technology Park of Montenegro is doing to encourage, in particular, youth to get into these entrepreneurial waters?
Well, thank you, Sinisha, for the opportunity, of course, and it's a pleasure for me to be able to participate on this panel and actually talk about basically the same problem that we have and same potential that we have in the region. And as you said, I've been dealing with the issue in this sector for quite some time, and have seen so many different approaches, so many different, let's say, processes that happened in the previous decade and a half or so. And I must say that we did. I was disconnected a little bit, I think. Anyway, as I said, I have witnessed so many different approaches around the region, of course, around the world. And what we have done in Montenegro is basically we have moved forward in the last 10 years. But to be very honest, there's much more we can do. But if we look at the picture, let's say locally within Montenegro, we see some good trends, of course. And as you may know, it's a case basically everywhere in the Balkans, but also in Montenegro for quite some time, until the last maybe couple of years. Young people, young students, when we did some polls and researched what is their vision of their careers, a lot of them, majority of them actually voted to be a part of public administration, to work on, government-owned companies and things like that. and it was pretty discouraging, but that happened with a reason. We have that in our roots. Basically, parents made a huge influence on their kids, and you know, when parents are influencing the kids in that way, so they could only think about certain jobs and security. In this sense, they kill their creativity, they kill their sense of self-awareness, so that they can do something more than just have a job, you know. So this inspiration, you know, we did not have in our families, to be very honest. When I'm talking, of course, not up in absolute numbers, I'm talking in majority of population. So that happened, that was the first problem. Second problem, my opinion, was the education system that also did not quite well promote entrepreneurship and creative thinking, because, you know, we all had our schools, learn the same things for the decades and things like that. So the education system did not follow the need for entrepreneurial way of thinking in youth. And then when we have all of that, on top of that, we did not have a quite efficient system for support of youth entrepreneurship and innovation projects. So that was basically, these are the three levels, by my opinion, that affected the youth population in general, so that we did not have a bigger and a much more, let's say, faster growth in innovation and entrepreneurship within youth population. What happened in the last couple of years, of course, as you may know, economy is changing, world is changing, everything is changing. The fact is that, you know, older generation, which I'm considering myself and older than myself, is, you know, having a lot of trouble adapting to this change, a lot of trouble, and that's, of course, historically speaking, always was the case. But the rate and the speed of changes is exponential. So now it's even more difficult to adapt to these changes than it was before, because for something that had to happen a couple of years or 5 or 10 years in the past, for some, you know, huge let's say step forward in technology or whatever in processes, now it's happening within a year, within a couple of months. So it's very difficult to follow, but the youth is accepting this change much faster. And there I see a lot of potential. So in the last couple of years, we saw that a youth population is changing in the way of thinking, because, you know, global informations are available for them. They're much less influenced by their parents and much more influenced by the internet, of course. And there a little bit of change in the educational system, but again, not fast enough, not by far fast enough. And the change is happening within youth population. So now where we stand in the position where we have these trends, where more youth people want to think and want to think innovative and want to actually do something about it. And more and more of them are thinking about entrepreneurial steps. Now we have to think about how to support them, because when they think about it, then they hit a wall of so many business barriers, of so many lack of knowledge, lack of understanding how the system works, lack of, you know, potentials on the market, local, regional, Europe, worldwide. So we have to help them. So this is why we exist, actually. And to be very honest, as I said, I was working in this field for more than 15 years now. And when I talk about Science Technology Park 15 years ago with Gordona, for example, from Belgrade, everybody laughed at us, you know, like, what are you talking about? I mean, you're talking about spaceships or something like that. It's not possible. But maybe the idea was premature at the time, I admit. So last couple of years was the best years for Science Technology Parks and similar business support organizations to thrive on the Balkans. And I see in many cases, these organizations are creating huge results. What we did in Montenegro is that we evolved from a couple of small projects to one, let's say, mid-range project called Technopolis in Nikšić. And now we moved to the major business support organization called Science Technology Park in Podgorica, which is basically situated in the campus of all technical university of the University of Montenegro, which is the great position and just happened to be the best business let's say, position within the town. So we have strategically positioned ourselves where, there's a couple of thousands of students literally in our backyard. And second of all, it's a business-oriented part of the city, which means a lot of state institutions, a lot of big companies, international companies, and so on. So we have made a pretty good approach there. But what we are now doing, and to be fair enough to everybody, the entire building is still under construction. But we are working a lot on this soft, let's say, soft services. And as Jelena explained, one of their projects, we are dealing with some other. We have a project called Boost Me Up, which is also a nationwide project supported also by the government, but by the private companies. A huge amount of people is locally huge. Is involved in this project, and we had, like last year we had like 40 applications or 50 applications. We selected 20 or something, and then we ended up with 9 or 10, I think, very good ideas ready to be presented to the investors, and some of them are in the process of commercialization. So we are now launching the second edition of the program. We had major players from all around the country, and also some very big companies such as Montenegrin Telecom as a part of Deutsche Telekom with the Deutsche Telekom Hub Raum Accelerator. We are discussing now with the big United States business accelerator called Techstars to jump in. We have a global partner, Rakuten Viber, and a lot of other very good partners that we are working with. And of course, we are working together with our IT community, with the strategic IT cluster of digital IT companies. So we are creating a good initiative. What happened in Montenegro last year, actually, we adopted 2 strategic legislative papers or laws. One of them is pretty important. It's called the legislation for supporting of innovation and research and innovation, basically. But it's mostly directed to support of startup development, creation of innovative projects, and we have made this law maybe one of the most stimulative laws within the entire Europe. And now we have some basically procedures to be taken care of. So, ministry has to adopt the sub-law acts or procedures that these laws should be operational. But when they are operational, we hope in a month or 2, Montenegro will be one of the most attractive places for startup innovation development within the entire Europe when we talk about legislative opportunities and stimulative stimulations that government is in. So basically, we are now moving forward. And to be very honest, we are also, as Siniša may know, Montenegro, when adopting these laws, dedicated itself to create its own fund for innovation, which Serbia has, Macedonia have. We didn't have it, but with these laws, not the only government will invest in innovation, but we gave the opportunity for every private company to invest their tax on profit into innovative projects and startups, which is the unique opportunity that Montenegro has Europe-wide. So if you invest in innovative projects, which are approved, of course, by the committee and everything, you can, entire tax on profit that you have, you can not pay to the government, but you can invest in this startup, or you can invest in these innovative projects that may be innovative projects from the university, from some research institutions, but mostly into startups. So, and also we gave innovative companies that are already working on innovative projects ability not to pay the tax on profit, but of course reinvest it into innovative programs, plus a lot of other tax incentives, such as tax incentives for
Velibor, may I just interrupt you?
Of course.
Thank you for this quite comprehensive overview. I would rather go forward with the discussion. Yes, Montenegro has indeed made giant leaps over the last several years, in particular in the legislative framework. But this is something that is perhaps not as interesting to the young people here. Most of them would like to hear more about Boost Me Up project and similar initiatives. But let me give the floor to Costa, if you don't mind. Costa is a slightly different type of animal, if I can put it that way. Costa wears a different hat. He heads what just Velibor mentioned, North Macedonia's Fund for Innovation and Technology Development, but also Costa is a very successful entrepreneur. So you have like two backgrounds. Costa, could you please, just share a few words about the fund's functioning and what, in practical terms, North Macedonia is doing to support, encourage young people to approach you with innovative ideas, and what kind of support they receive to actually develop these innovative ideas and turn them into commercially viable products or services?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be part of this great initiative. As you mentioned, I'm heading North Macedonia's Fund for Innovation and Technology Development. We have over 560 companies in our portfolio. In the past 5 years, we've invested over 75 million. So when I became director last November, the mission of my team was to change the perception of the fund as someone that gives grants, as an institution that gives grants, to an institution that is an active partner of the private sector, but with biggest focus on startup. What was really good is actually 50% of our portfolio is our companies founded by young people. So this was like in a way normal switch in our activities. The first thing that we did is something that I'm really proud of is we launched the country's first national startup council. We have a very vibrant startup community in North Macedonia. However, they were doing things on their own. The government in the previous years was not so involved into any strategy concerning to startups. As you know, in many countries, the aid given by the government or the help given by the government is focusing on the micro, medium, and small companies. I believe startups are a completely different category. And what was really exciting is to see all of these representatives from the startup community being part of a council that is at the end of the day governed by the government, to see how laws are being changed, to get their ideas on board to be heard by the Prime Minister. So I'm really happy that the National Startup Council is already involved into law changes for the law of innovation, for social entrepreneurship. With the Ministry of Interior, we're working on a digital nomad program. So the council has been very active. What we also want to do is to wake up the big corporations in Macedonia, because unfortunately, many of the big corporations, big companies, haven't invested at all into startups or innovative products by startup. So we launched the Corporate Innovation Program, which in the beginning, the fund together with big corporation is investing into startups or innovative products that were funded by the startups. And tomorrow we are launching the first project with a major supermarket, which is based on startup supply chain. What is really important, and you will agree with me that fund, when it comes to startups and young people, funds are one thing, but the education is another thing. So we completely revamped the mentoring program, and for the first time, we're doing mentoring for potential candidates. So they don't even have to be our users. There doesn't even have to be a call about grants. Basically, what we want to do is get them on board, help them develop their ideas. First is going to be group mentoring, then individual mentoring, but it's very important to educate people what it means to create a business plan, create a business, commercialize the business, sales and marketing, because you will agree with me that we have a lot of great ideas in the region, but when it comes to implementation, not so good. Other than that, we also wanted to wake up the banks, because if you're a startup, especially funded by younger people, the banks are very strict when it comes to giving financing. Basically, you have to sell your kidney or put your parents' apartment as a collateral. I mean, it's pretty much the same everywhere. So what we did is we started pressuring the banks to create special packages, first of all, for our users. So the banks to give additional financing on the financing we already give to startups. And I'm really happy that we've signed contract with 2 banks that created a special package for the startup. So for example, if the project is $100,000 and we finance 50, the bank would finance the additional 40,000. So the investment from the startup, from the young people, would only be 10%. And we're already talking with 6 more banks. What is really interesting now, the banks are competing who will give a better package. So probably the last bank that we sign with a contract will have the best package possible. We're also focusing on an accelerator program, which unfortunately does not give the results that it should give. So together with the World Bank and the experts, we are looking how to revamp the accelerator program. The creation of the program is fine, but when it comes to investment, it's they haven't done, out of 3 accelerators, only 2 of them have done investment, which you know, at the end of the day is bad points for us as a fund. However, we are looking to revamp this. And what is really important is to adapt the calls, because all of our calls for financing are written in our law. So sometimes the law is, you know, very strict, but what we are trying to do is for each call to adapt it to what is happening right now. So for example, we are launching a call for startups next Wednesday, and for the first time we are allowing project teams to apply. So they don't need to have a company, but it can be a project team. And once they get the financing from us, they will have to open a company in 30 days. But we are putting the pressure away from them that they need to have a registered company in the beginning. Also, we are opening, for example, the call for the first time for international startups. The call for the first time, they don't have to return any royalties because of COVID-19. So I think it's all about the adapting. We are not as fast when it comes to law changes as Montenegro. So what we're trying to do is practical, visible things that will help them, accelerate the companies, that will help them grow sustainable businesses. And what is really important is that we have the support from the government, and we are lobbying with the ministers on daily basis to enable us to introduce new initiatives. I mean, just yesterday, the government appointed us to do a national strategy on artificial intelligence. You know, and people are like, artificial intelligence, I mean, look at the state of our country. But it's important to do these strategies now. You know, maybe we are not AI hub in Europe and we are so far away, but it's important that we are, taking baby steps and start implementing this global trend. So it's exciting times. Hopefully we'll also have the investment fund by the end of the year, and then we'll change the investment game. But all in all, I think our youth has a lot of potential. What it's lacking is access to finance, but mostly the right education, especially when it comes to sales and marketing and creating a sustainable business. All of us have to work and invest in sustainable companies that when we pull out as financier of the companies, they can sustain themselves without our help.
Thank you very much, Costa. I know you're quite vigorously lobbying with your government, and I know that you have the meeting with your prime minister today at midday, so you will have to leave sharp. But after listening to the 3 of you, I made some notes here, and I see 6 points that could easily fit any kind of strategy of developing entrepreneurial ecosystem targeting youth. But let me get back to you, Costa, again on one very intriguing initiative that you've been promoting lately, and you mentioned it also briefly. Digital nomads. So basically you are trying to turn North Macedonia into a digital nomad sort of regional hub. I know that Croatia is quite vigorously pushing this initiative. Can you just say a few words about that? Because many young people could find it quite interesting.
Yeah, well, how this idea actually came on our table. We are a partner of Startup Macedonia, which is an association dealing with startups. And many of their members were in Ohrid, I mean, the lakeside town. And they told me, and we saw that there are over 300 young people that have decided to spend COVID-19 in North Macedonia. So we started asking them, why did you choose North Macedonia? And obviously we haven't been shut down as other countries. Restaurants were open up until 1 month ago. It's quite cheap. So we came to the idea that we need to include this in an actual program, because we already see foreigners that are here and that they want to stay here longer. However, the problem that they have is that if you have an EU passport or American or Canadian passport, you can stay in the country up to 90 days. So with this new digital nomad program, you'll be able to stay up to 1 year. It's going to be very easy to get. Of course, there's going to be a certain criteria that needs to be fulfilled. But what we believe is that taking, in fact, our position closest to Europe, the standard of living, it's quite cheap for for Europeans and Americans to live here. We could be an attractive destination. So there's going to be an economic benefit, but the bigger benefit is going to be the networking that they will have with our local startup community and sharing knowledge. And at the end of the day, maybe they will open a company in Macedonia and hire Macedonian innovators to work for them. So it's an idea that a lot of countries are pushing, I think, and it's a great idea, especially for our region. I think COVID-19 showed that we are a sexy region. There's so many foreigners coming, and I think Serbia and Macedonia at one point were the only countries where Europeans could actually travel. So I think this is one positive thing that came out from COVID-19.
Yeah, quite exciting indeed. I hope you get there eventually, and hopefully other economies in the region will follow suit. We've heard some very interesting initiatives so far. Let me now get back to Jelena. I mean, Jelena, and perhaps again to Velibor with pretty much the same question. Over the last several years, you've been working closely with both youth, young entrepreneurs, but also more experienced entrepreneurs. And one thing that is really important, and that this is something that's also mentioned in our common regional market action plan, is building on niche markets, or building on opportunities that already exist in the region. So trying to identify those and then expand them, so to say. The question to both of you, which niche markets or niche industries you believe that Serbia or Montenegro and the region as a whole, if you can put it in this broader context, have compared to other countries in Europe or even globally? Jelena, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would just like to say that basically most of the startups and the businesses being developed in Science Technology Park are globally oriented. And the first markets they see are, of course, out of the region, since we are still quite small when it comes to the global markets. And now the companies which are part of the Science Technology Park export to more than 45 countries, which is quite interesting. So basically what we learned then from the day one is that they should look for global markets. But definitely Serbia and the region are a good market to start with, and to test the initial products and to see if the products can be validated, basically. And when it comes to the, let's say, industries that can be potentially interesting, we were working a lot in the last few years in the area of health tech, and we saw quite good potential there. COVID-19 also has demonstrated the need for this type of solutions, and definitely in the future, health tech broadly, also including the food and other related to that areas, will definitely be one of the priorities. And until now, we have seen that there is a lot of potential. We had few very interesting cases here in Serbia as well. And based on that, we also developed a cooperation with the Innovation Forum Cambridge. With this organization, we are conducting an Imagine pre-acceleration program for health tech startups. Cambridge is one of the centers of health tech in the world. And basically our startups are getting the opportunity also to participate in this global competition organized by Innovation Forum Cambridge, which is exciting opportunity because generally health tech startups don't have easy access to big pharma companies. The R&D period is much longer. The investments are not that present as in other areas. So this is giving many opportunities. So definitely this is one of the areas that I would mention. Definitely, I mean, IT as a horizontal, let's say, industry in different sectors. I can also mention now from our call Rising Stars that we had, like for the accelerator, there are also a few startups in the area of agriculture technologies. And this is also something that can be easily applicable and tested on the local markets. And in the area of, let's say, also educational technologies and some kind of social impact in this area, the environment is also going to be quite a hot topic in the next years.
Thank you very much, Jelena. Indeed, quite interesting topics and fields, industries being currently developed in Serbia. Velibor, could you relate to any of these sectors mentioned by Jelena? Health tech, agri-food, edu-tech, environment, and IT as a kind of a horizontal industry that basically goes everywhere.
Well, actually, you said it. These are the industries or sectors that we can develop in Montenegro because we have a strategic economy sectors that were, traditionally strong, such as tourism, agriculture, and energy sector. Montenegro could be a new green energy hub of Southern Europe because Montenegro has built with Italy the sub-sea big cable for the green energy transfer to European Union countries. So Montenegro is now literally in terms of infrastructure is the regional green hub. And of course, Montenegro having its own landscapes and potentials with one of the most sunniest countries in Europe. And of course, wind and solar energy could be a huge boost in green energy hub. Talking regionally, but as you said, agri-food, which means the healthy and sustainable agriculture, is something that we can, of course, further develop in Montenegro. But IT sector is something which is hugely important, even more for Montenegro. Why? For example, we know that the IT industry in Serbia is very relatively big, but again, Serbia is a much bigger country and has a lot of sectors of industry under development. But in Montenegro, if we develop IT industry, it will affect the entire society. So which means it will digitalize the every other sector of economy which I mentioned, and of course will be create a new economy sector with a huge impact on national economy. So we have a huge potential there. And just to relate back on what I've said, everything that I said before is mostly dedicated to youth. So all this legislation is mostly dedicated. Now youth in Montenegro can easily access financial opportunities to fund their innovative ideas. That was previously unimaginable. So they don't need credit loans. They don't need big foreign investors to invest in them. They can reach to any local company that creates profit, and they can invest their tax and profit in their ideas. Plus, all of these companies, institutions, universities can be exempt of paying taxes on salaries if they employ people on innovative programs and projects. So mostly and most definitely this will be younger people. So universities can now involve much more younger people on development projects because they will be exempt of paying any taxes on their salaries. And when we get back related to the digital nomads, as you said, this is something that we also are promoting in Montenegro. And our law is literally dedicated one huge section for digital nomad and freelancers. So if they come to Montenegro, reach out and register, they will be exempt of 80% of any tax that the government should impose on them. So can you imagine how with every right, so they can work, let's say, legally, 100% legally, they can live in a beautiful country, they can work worldwide, and they will pay only 20% of the nationally, let's say, calculated tax on in every level. So it's one of the most stimulative legislation, as I said, in entire Europe, also for freelancers and digital nomads. When you combine all of that with working with young people on different projects, not only Boost Me Up. We have several others designed by other companies, some of private and some of course, some hybrid consortium of different kinds of companies. We now have a much more, let's say, much more developed system that we had before. So everything is basically targeted to you. So new companies can, start to build their own innovative projects, hire young people, and they will be exempt of paying taxes on these salaries. So it's a huge boost. Now we wait 2021 and maybe 2022 for all of this to actually, get together and create more significant results. But having in mind that Montenegro is a small country, this boost will be a huge boost for local economy. So it's, per capita, it much more affects our economy than maybe elsewhere, such as in Serbia or, I don't know, some other bigger countries within the region. I don't know, let's say, never mind. But anyway, Montenegro being, by my personal opinion, not because I'm from Montenegro, one of the most attractive places to literally be in. And when you have this kind of stimulative environment, then we will find soon, I'm hoping, in a very vibrant situation where younger people are actually working with their counterparts from all around the world, working locally, working globally, regionally. And I hope that these young people will be able to use these opportunities, and on that behalf we are working with the universities, of course, to promote all of these potentials, because it's not, dissemination of information has to be more efficient, and we have to create a system where this can be used by these young people because they don't have a knowledge. So all in all, work in progress, of course, but as I say, this digital transformation of Montenegrin society, because we are so small, can be much faster than elsewhere. And what we are now, of course, we are proposing to our government, we will see how this will end up. We are proposing the e-residency legislation, such as Estonian e-residency, which would mean a lot to Montenegro. And I think this would be one major step forward to digital innovative country, and something that we all strive that our economy should be much more innovative than they are at the moment. So
a number of quite interesting initiatives on your side as well. Thank you, Velibor. There was a question aimed at you, but perhaps I'd appreciate if you could just answer it in the chat box, because we have 5 minutes to go, and I would like to dedicate this to Jelena and Costa. Costa, first of all, I think Costa changed, put his tie on.
I have my tie.
That's good. You have to meet the Prime Minister, of course. Costa, a question to you. Imagine, I know that's difficult, but imagine I'm 19 years old and you talk to me now. I turn up in your premises, and I have this, quite vague idea about developing a business. And I've heard about some, successful people out there. I need some sort of encouragement. I need you to take me by the hand and take me to spot B. What would you tell me? And please imagine I'm 19.
Well, I mean, my personal opinion is the future belongs to startups. So we have to shift from the society and what our parents have been telling us and what our education has been telling us. Find a stable job in a bank or somewhere where every month you get the money, blah, blah, blah. We need to do that shift. And I think the best example is by showcasing what others have done. So, and we are heavily focusing on that at the fund. Real stories, real people, how they made it. And what is the most fascinating thing right now in COVID-19, probably is the best time to start a business in our country, because the Agency for Employment is giving 10,000 euros for opening a company. We are giving now to startups from 40 to 60,000, plus you have the bank. So I think there is no better time to start a business. And at the end of the day, you create your own story, you create your own life. I mean, why would you be 19, 20 and dreaming to work for a bank? It's crazy.
Thank you very much.
I have to go now, so I want to thank you for everything, and I hope to see you live sometime soon.
Thank you very much, Costa, and good luck with the Prime Minister. All the best. Thank you to Costa, quite encouraging. Now we have like 2 or 3 minutes left. I would just now give the floor back to Jelena very briefly. Jelena, similar question. Could you perhaps add on what Costa just mentioned? You work with young people most of the time. You know how they breed, so to say. Please share some of your thoughts, but very, very briefly, a minute, two max, please.
Okay. So basically, I would tell them that there is nothing much more exciting than building a startup, that there is nowhere that they could learn more than by building their own business, and that they will meet many great people, learn a lot, and build something that will be important for the rest of their lives.
That was quick. Thank you very much. And you know, while listening to all three of you, I just realized that basically both of these science technology parks in Belgrade and Podgorica, and also Innovation Fund in North Macedonia, are kind of startups in our environment. And you've been developing from, you know, trying to convince naysayers this is something that we should be going towards the point where you actually disseminate knowledge and encourage many, not necessarily young people, but people throughout your environments to build through startup community, develop their innovative ideas. Thank you very much to three of you. Let me just conclude with 2 or 3 sentences. I realized that while listening to you that there are many obstacles. Of course, there's poor support to environmental culture. Educational system is not as encouraging as it is in some other countries around the world. However, there are a number of opportunities, and this is something that Costa mentioned. It's ridiculous not to exploit the opportunities that come in the times of crisis. We, as the region, should design support measures both through a legal framework, building better education system that equips young people for the challenges of the future. We need to involve major businesses so as to reach to the point that Jelena actually mentioned at the very beginning, which is people that change themselves. This could be the overall message of this panel. We need young people who can actually change themselves and become something that they can become in supportive environments. With this being said, it's 11:39, so we are still on time. I know Ognjen is patiently waiting for me to end this, but I must say I really enjoyed it. I think it was interesting, in my view at least. Hopefully those young people listening and watching us also had something to learn today from these outstanding speakers today. I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future. I'm quite open to all initiatives. Some of what you mentioned can be scaled to the regional level, but let's discuss about this now. Let me now give the floor to Ardita Bonetti from RICO project, who's going to say something about RISE project. Thank you very much to Jelena, Velibor, and Costa, who is now on the way to the North Macedonia's Prime Minister. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for it.
Thank you for the invitation. I try to be shortly. RISE is a regional project which started last year. It stands Regional Incubation for Social Entrepreneurs, and it aims to enrich the regional ecosystem in the Western Balkan 6 countries, and of course to enable young entrepreneurs to develop these social innovative ideas and turn them into solution and contribution for the community. This project has launched by a consortium composed by RICO, AFD, Agency French Development, Group SOSPOOL, COIN, Institute France, and OFAGE. So we started with a first call for application last year, which we wasn't expecting so many applicants due to the COVID situation. We gathered, we have 257 applications from the region, and we selected 137 young entrepreneurs based on 46 teams, which started the RISE journey. The project is composed on 2 phases: ideation phase, which starts 5 months, and incubation phase, another 5 months. So during the incubation phase, those selected teams have opportunity to complete 33 training sessions on social business development ideas, 19 meetups for community building, 182 mentoring sessions, 26 expert consultation, 135 one-to-one coaching session, and 6 regional peer learning business sessions. Of course, 5 intercultural training sessions, which is another component, main component of this project. We are now, we had organized the competition from all those 46 teams on the region, and we selected 2 winners team for each country. So we organized demo day to have this announcement for these young teams who win the competition, and we started with them the incubation phase, which is going through another package of business trainings, like business plan, marketing, sales, impact measurement, etc. And right now they are focusing on prototyping training session, which is to provide them more knowledge how to go in the market and to get to know the customers, and of course to have their products or their services. Do I have time, or I'm just?
Please, just briefly, since we will have to proceed. Thank you.
Why is important to continue and to have this kind of initiative, and why is important the social enterprise and the RISE? Because social enterprise is a tool to reduce youth emigration and brain drain on all the region, because all the countries are suffering from the same phenomenon. So we think it's very important because give the possibility to the youth for self-employed and employed. And of course, we had the risers had this opportunity to have one of them reply that it was one of the best schools for young participants, to give them opportunity to learn from and practice the best ideas they have. And of course, create opportunity for social enterprise with support and to address community needs, and to wake the awareness of interest for the young people and establish sustainable small and medium enterprises on the region. So that's why we think it's very important, this kind of initiative, and we will be able to continue. We need support and assistance, and the main pillars for the future, it will be we concentrating in mentoring and financial support. The first phase, the 2 selected winners get a fund for 2,500 euros, but we are trying, when we redesign the RISE 2, to have a startup fund starting from 7,500 till 12,000 euros, because we think that is really important to give them this support, financial support as well, except mentoring support and coaching as well. So, and we think there is an opportunity, the last sentences, for RISE, if it will be successful, of course, like it is, to turn the region in the better place, and to have a model of successful young entrepreneurs lead those social enterprise. And we can, of course, multiply this program in the other country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ardita, very much, and thank you, Sinisha, for great moderation, as well as big thanks to your panelists. I mean, even though the Q&A session was supposed for the participants to ask questions, we are a bit late. And therefore, I would kindly like to ask you for your understanding, and if you have any question, to raise hand or to write your question in comment section, so as that we don't take much of your time, even though we wanted actually this event to be shorter, so that we can really have insightful and fruitful discussion. But maybe for the next time we will prolong it a bit, so that we really can accommodate intervention of everyone. So For the attendees, please raise hands or write in the comment section, and we will give our best to address either in written or in the following stage. Still, I mean, somehow, and thank you, Ardita, for this input, since Western Balkans Youth Lab project is closely working with RAICO, and we are together in this, in bringing the best practices to the region from the EU level, and EU is supporting youth in the Western Balkans 6 very much, and youth is being the let's say top priority in the EU agenda of what we can follow through economic and investment plans, different employment programs that have been launched during this summer due to COVID-19, as well as increased budget of Erasmus Plus that all of us that enjoyed the opportunity of using it are really looking forward. But still there are more and more novelties from the EU side when it comes to youth, and therefore it is a great pleasure of mine to have today with us Ms. Benedikte Einarsen, Policy Officer in DG Education, Youth, Sport and Culture in European Commission, with whom we had numerous discussions, and the Benedikte is someone who is supporting our project continuously, and somehow in the very agenda we asked a question to Benedikte on what Western Balkans agenda on innovation, research, education, culture, youth and sport stands for, and we are really looking forward to hearing from your side some insights about it. So Benedikte, despite your very tight agenda, thank you very much for your availability to address our participants, and I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you. That was a very nice introduction. I thought I would just share my screen. Can you see the slide now? Let's see. Yeah?
Yes, great. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. As was mentioned here, my name is Benedikte. I'm a policy officer in an international cooperation unit in EAC, working with the Western Balkans. And I was invited to explain, I will try to be brief, what is this Western Balkan agenda on research, innovation, education, culture, youth and sport. And in short, this is a long-term strategy for cooperation with the region, covering the fields under Commissioner Gabriel's portfolio. And the objective is that through increased investments in research, education, culture, youth and sport, the Western Balkans agenda and its proposed actions will contribute to the region's economic and societal development and cooperation. And how did it all start? Well, as you may be aware, strong cooperation with the Western Balkans has been at the core of Commissioner Gabriel's work also before she became a commissioner. And last year, you mentioned also that the Commission adopted this economic and investment plan for the Western Balkans, which links partners in the region to key European priorities such as the Green Deal and the digital transformation. And to support the implementation of this economic and investment plan, Commissioner Gabriel asked for a dedicated measure, which will cover all the fields under her portfolio on innovation, research, education, culture, youth and sport. So this comprehensive long-term strategy will be crucial for enhancing human capital development, nurturing a knowledge-based society, and for encouraging brain circulation and fostering the development of a sustainable innovation ecosystem and the transition to a long-term sustainable, competitive and resilient economy in the region. And what is more, we also hope that it will lay the foundations for evidence-based policymaking and promote inclusive and high-quality education and training systems, also with a view of offering new opportunities for young people in the region. And just to say a little bit about the process. So the process of developing this agenda has been a co-creation process between the EU and the stakeholders in the Western Balkans. Since last summer, the Commission has organized regular meetings with the Western Balkan 6 to discuss the content of this agenda and the joint declaration, which is expected to be signed by the Ministers of Education, Youth and Sport and Culture in the Western Balkan 6 and Commissioner Gabriel in the end of May this year. So back in November, the ministers and the commissioner endorsed the joint declaration, meaning that they expressed their support And of 8th of March this year, there was a Commission decision. Now the texts are with the Council before it goes to the European Parliament. We are still finalizing the content. So then, as a final formal step, when the texts have been finally agreed on, this joint declaration will be adopted and signed by the ministers and the commissioner at this online ministerial meeting in the end of May. But of course, our efforts do not stop there because we will have to implement our commitments. And for that, we will continue to have regular stakeholder meetings and develop an action table, which is built on these 3 main pillars of the agenda: the political, thematic, and regional pillar, with timelines for each action. And all of this will be closely monitored, and the deliverables will be measured, of course. I will not cover all aspects of the agenda today, but I would like to highlight some elements which is interesting for you on youth specifically. And first of all, an overall ambition is to foster cultural and youth cooperation within the region and with the EU. And in more concrete terms, it means that we would want to support the region in the design, the implementation and monitoring of youth guarantee schemes, including the targeting, activation and integration of youth into the labor market, and through the coordination between employment, education, civil society, youth, private sector and innovation stakeholders. Further, there is an aim to encourage the development of regional vocational education and training centers of excellence to respond to the needs of the labor market, and also strengthen the capacity building activities in the field of youth under the Erasmus Plus program. Also, I could mention that we are aiming to develop together with the Western Balkan partners the quality of youth engagement through initiatives such as the Regional Youth Cooperation Office, the School Exchange Scheme, the EU Scheme for Young Professionals in the Western Balkans, and the Youth Policy Labs. And within the field of education, the aim is also to develop a new way of working together and to support the region in benefiting more from EU relevant networks, platforms, and strategies. Last year, 2 important communications were adopted: the European Education Area and the Digital Education Action Plan. And both of them have a very strong international ambition to strengthen the cooperation with the Western Balkans as a priority region. And new opportunities will also become available to the partners in the Western Balkans, including the Erasmus Plus virtual exchanges, which is planned to be launched within 2021, and which will be open to the region for the first time. And of course, the Erasmus Plus program is of paramount importance. Between 2015 and 2020, there was organized around 49,000 staff and learner mobilities between the EU and the Western Balkans. And under the youth component of the Erasmus Plus program, around 16,000 young people have taken part in non-formal exchanges and volunteering. And the aim is to increasingly involve the Western Balkan 6 in all our programs. And we hope to further integrate the region and create more opportunities for young people also within the region. Youth will also be given important visibility at the ministerial meeting planned for May, with the results presented from the first Youth Lab regional project. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, considering that this is still in progress until we have the formal adoption. And then finally, we can start looking towards the implementation process and hopefully achieve the many commitments that we will have agreed on together and make a difference for the young people in the region. And then I would just like to promote a little bit for Erasmus Plus. The first call was launched in March with many opportunities. The second call with more opportunities in the international dimension will be launched in the autumn. So stay tuned for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Benedicta, so much. Thank you for this information and enjoying the benefits of Erasmus Plus and knowing peers from all over the Europe. I can say that I really do hope that we will have more of these available for the youth in the Western Balkan 6 and new agenda, and all programs that you mentioned are striving for it. And in that line, also we in Western Balkans Youth Lab are really hoping that as soon as we are able actually to travel and health-wise be able to meet new people, we will be also able to support in this matter, as one of the key components of the project is actually exchange and participation of young people from the Western Balkans at regional and international events. And therefore, I hope that our joint strengths will lead towards the greater participation of youth from the Western Balkan 6 in all of these opportunities, in order to build capacities, to build skills needed for the labor market, as well as all of those are topics relevant for the region itself. In case anyone has any question, please feel free to write in chat or raise your hand, as still we are having some time. But as somehow we are going towards the closure of the event, I would give the floor with great pleasure to Ms. Ivana Petricevic, Senior Advisor in RCC's liaison office in Brussels, to address us all. Ivana, I'm giving the floor to you, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Ognian, and for this closing session, let me first of all thank again to all of the panelists, to all the great moderators today, and last, but in this case definitely not the least, I would say the most importantly, to all young people who joined us today for this event. When we started to think how to mark the World Creativity and Innovation Day, the main idea that we had in our heads was, let's try to change the perspective and try to present opportunities and availability and everything that does exist in the Western Balkan region. And we are fully aware that there are the days when things look a little bit gray. So we really hope that today we manage just to, let's say, provide you with some of the great examples and some of the great opportunities that exist for young people in the Western Balkans. We also wanted to, let's say, a little bit extend the perspective and to provide you also with what is coming up at the EU horizon when it comes to cooperation between the Western Balkan and the European Union. So one more time, Benedicta, huge thanks for joining us today and explaining what are the next steps that we can expect. So if we today succeed to make this little spark, and if we manage to boost or motivate any of the youth who were with us today to go further with a good idea, I think that then this was a great and a successful day. Our ultimate goal for the event was that actually this time next year, marking the same day in 2020, one of you who were today in a listening mode actually join us from the other side as a speakers, hopefully presenting to us the good examples of what you learned and what you managed really to succeed with over the course of the year. And for that reason, I will reiterate what my colleagues already said a couple of times. This is the reason why we would like to invite you to stay connected, to strengthen the networks that we have, to communicate with each other. What we can say from our end is that, as you know, we really stand open and ready to listen, to cooperate, and try to provide as much boost as possible to change the situation for the youth in the Western Balkan region for the better. by these words, I would just like one more time to wish you happy World Creativity and Innovation Day, and to invite you all to stay well, stay healthy, and stay connected. And I'm wishing you a very, very nice afternoon. And I would like to thank you all one more time for being with us here today. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana, very much. Thank you. And as you said, we even in these difficult times of COVID, we have to be connected, and virtual exchanges that were mentioned by Benedicte are also some of the opportunities that all of us should use. And while speaking, we received also some questions in regard to Balkathon 2021, and that's really encouraging to see that we managed to spark the interest. And as you said, we really hope to have some of the participants, maybe, who knows, as the panelists next year in this time. So with this message, I would like to thank you everyone once again. And in case you would like to be connected with some of the panelists from today, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will give our best to connect you so that we really can make joint efforts towards more and more solutions that are brought by the young people on the agenda of the Western Balkans. Thank you, everyone, and stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.